Good evening, Crime Crunchies. Thank you so much for joining me here tonight. My name is Courtney C. I am your host, a 27-year veteran of the media, and I'm so happy to now be bringing you Crime Crunchies. You guys, I found something. Ooh. I don't mind pivoting, but I'm going to leave it up to y'all, all right? I am fully prepared to share the information that JLR got from the neighbor. Talk, Courtney, talk. The neighbor of Annie and Tommaso. Okay, I'm fully prepared. We're going to look at the video. We're going to look at a couple spots, but I wanted to see if you guys are interested in learning more about Annie and Tommaso's mortgage information and more information on a newspaper article and information that does show a death date of February 1st for Nancy Guthrie. So I will leave it up to you guys. I'm happy to pivot and share the juice, or we can go over the neighbors call in with JLR, which is very, very, very interesting. I see a lot of yeses. People are like, yes, 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 yes. Okay. So let me talk a little bit about public information. Yes, we want to know it all. I want to know juice. Okay. So there are websites out there that you can subscribe to. Hey, Boomer. That you can subscribe to that give you public information, reports, background stuff on people. All right. And you probably have heard of them before. I had subscribed a couple weeks ago to Truthfinder.com. I'm not going to share the website in this YouTube because it's live. And I don't want to violate any information. Plus, it is private information. I do respect, but there are screenshots that I feel like I can probably get away with. All right, just to share what I'm seeing, because you guys are going to want to see it too. Okay. So in Truthfinder, I was very curious to see if there was any, maybe information from February on about parties that we have mentioned. And just kind of going in and looking at everything, I was very interested because some of the public information shared is about home addresses where people have lived, assets, mortgages, trusts, not the trust itself, but if a home is deeded into the trust, things like that. Speeding tickets, all right, things like that, relatives, phone numbers, emails. So I did look in, and I can tell you that I don't see anything recent on any of these people. I will tell you that, maybe a traffic ticket here and there, no harm, no foul, but there is nothing as far as criminal that's listed for any of these parties, okay, that shall remain nameless, but we all know who we're talking about, okay? So when I went in and I was looking at addresses, it appears that, and it kind of ties into what we're going to be doing with JLR and the neighbor. So apparently A&T purchased the home that they're in now, or most recently in March of 2025. So they were there for not even a year, 11 months when this horrible tragedy occurred. Okay. And they had a property that they sold to somebody else. But in Truthfinder, it shows last seen at, that type of information. So let me share where they were last seen at. And sometimes I'm wondering, well, I shouldn't say the word sometimes, but what I'm wondering if a last seen address isn't something to do with the post office, okay? And that ties into what we learned with JLR, because the neighbor indicated that the mail is no longer dropping off at Annie or A&T's house, okay? All right, so let me share my screen. And if you have not subscribed, please subscribe. All right, I'm going to share my entire window for right now. All right, so while you guys are looking at this, remember I am only going to share screenshots at this time because this is proprietary, and it may not seem like it, but I do care about people's privacy. I'm sure right now you're going, yeah, whatever, Courtney, you clearly don't. Okay, but I do. And so this is, again, this is supposedly public information that's pulled, and you can see here that in the personal records, we're looking at Annie Guthrie, her mother. Truthfinder does show relative death record. Nancy Guthrie died, age of 84, February 1st. Okay, we're going to look into that in a little bit more. And Jen at Thornbridge X Unfiltered had mentioned that Bill Garcia had shared something along these lines with her. And of course, he had a lot more information. Let me do something really quick. Please hold. Whoopsie. So he had shared this information with Jen at Thornbridge X Unfiltered. So this is not like breaking news that it's showing that she had passed. All right. But I'm going to share something else that I found in just a moment. Give me just a moment. I'm doing something in the back end. Please hold. Talk amongst yourselves. Okay. Birdie-dee-la-doo, and a deedly-doo, and a deedly-dee. I know people complain about me singing and making faces, so I'm working on not doing that so much, okay? Apparently, I'm really annoying. And last night's show, I got a lot of unhappy people. So I'm sorry if anybody was offended or upset. All right, so what we're looking at again is this is a screenshot of in the back end of truthfinder.com. And again, we see here February 1st. It is showing in Truthfinder that relative death record, Nancy Guthrie died on February 1st. We'll look into that a little bit more. There's not a whole lot, but I'll show you what I have. And then May 2nd, so possible location record is, so this is not a death certificate. This is a death record. So I don't know if a death record is going to be the same as a death certificate. So, and I don't think that this is user generated, meaning I don't think that there's a way, it's not open source, where somebody could go in and add information. But I'm going to check that out for tomorrow. I'm going to do some follow-up stuff for tomorrow that I will share with you guys as well. So that's what I don't know. This is not a user-generated site. So I don't know where this personal record is coming from. So I want to put a pin in it because a death record could be different than a death certificate or a proof of death. I don't know what, there's something legally that's flagging these records. Okay. Something's happening that's flagging these records. That's the only thing I can determine. And I can't say what. So going down to the address record for Annie, May 2nd, 2026. So last seen at address, last seen at residential address 1410 West Niagara. And this is the home that she and T sold in March of 2025. Okay, so why is there a last seen at address on May 2nd, 2026? I'm going to guess that this could be another change of address for the post office. May 2nd. JLR with the neighbor of A&T had mentioned that they've not been seen at that home since May. And so this May 2nd, even though it had been a year since they moved out. You know how mail sometimes does go to an old address even after? I'm wondering if maybe they didn't put in another change of address with the post office on May 2nd. And again, this is all speculation, but the timing is very interesting. Hey, good evening, Lisa. I'd like everybody to say hello to Crime After Dark HQ, our lovely moderator, Miss Lisa. She's our bouncer of the night. She's a bruiser. And if you wouldn't mind, two things. Go check out her channel, Crime After Dark HQ on YouTube, and give her a subscribe and a like. And also in the description of this show, there is a link to buy her a coffee. She likes coffee. And, I keep her so busy and her channel is so busy. She takes care of her mama as well. She needs some caffeine. All right. Aw, I love you guys. Thank you so much. Keep singing. You know what? I had some people just going, you stop trying to be cool. All right. Believe me, I am not cool. I am the biggest geek nerd. All right. Getting back. All right. So last seen at address 1410 West Niagara, May 2nd, which again, it's all speculation. I don't know what is flagging these records, but I could see a change of address happening, something legal that's pinging and flagging this system. They probably, Truthfinder may pay to get data from the US Post Office when people are changing or doing a mail forwarding, those types of things. Those are public records or personal records. Thank you for the jewels, bling bling. And really quick, I'm not trying to, I applaud. Thank you so much, Kim. You have no idea. It was a tough show last night. I was really upset. I applaud you for last night's show. It was a tough subject, but certainly one that needs to be discussed in our society. And that's it. I just wanted to discuss, and hopefully people are cool. So all right, so going back here, so May 2nd, it's a last seen at the address 1410 West Niagara, but this is an address that they had sold in March of 2025. But if there was any like scraggly mail that was still going there, I've had that happen. So, did they put in a second mail forwarding with the post office? And then down below, August 7th, it's just a few weeks ago, last seen at address of 925 West Ternero, which is their current address in Tucson right now. So did they do something on August 7th? Is there a real estate signal somewhere? Is there something flagging? Thank you for the jewels, Mary. Bling, bling. All right. So August 7th. So let me go into their current home. Let me make this a little bit bigger. So this is mortgage information on their current home. And as you can see, 925 West Ternero Street. Date owned March 26, 2025. The sale amount was $650,000 in 2025, and the mortgage amount is $355,000. So it appears that there is, I did the math earlier, $295,000 in cash that was put down on this sale. Okay, which is very interesting because that's quite a lump sum. $295,000 cash. They bought the house for $650,000, but the mortgage amount is $355,000 for 30 years. And I could tell you the mortgage amount is $355,000 because here's the mortgage amount and then 30 years, it will be paid off. So $355,000. So she sells jewelry and he's a teacher. An average salary at the school is $55,000. So when I look at, that's what I wanted to look at. So let me stop sharing my screen for a moment. And Puerto Rico, I can tell you that the last date seen, they do have and yes, I will let me pull a screenshot of the Puerto Rico address because that is shown as, okay. So I'm not going to share this, but you guys kind of see that I'm looking at something from the screenshot before. So when they sold the house, let me make sure I'm looking, the Niagara house. Let me double check my numbers here. $2010. Okay. It looks like they had on the Niagara house, actually this kind of lines up. And I want to be fair. I want to have fair and balanced reporting. So that looks like they had a mortgage left of, okay, they bought the Niagara house for $140,000 in 2010. Love those 2010 mortgages. Okay, 2010, they bought the house on Niagara for $140,000 in 2010. So in 2025, it looks like they had about $94,000 on a mortgage. And they did sell it for $379,000. So let me do that. So that does leave them some equity. $379,000 minus $94,000. So that's $285,000. So honestly, it actually makes sense. If they had $285,000 in equity and maybe they had something saved up or they had a gift and they put it down on the next house, actually, you know what? That lines up. And again, if it lines up, it lines up, because I can tell you that they put on a $650,000 house, it looks like they put $295,000 in cash down and they were left with a mortgage of $355,000. So they did have equity in their other house. Because I was wondering originally, how did they get that money? Not that it's any of our business, clearly, but if there's some tie to the Derek Colella thing. But honestly, it really doesn't look like. And here's the thing, if there is a tax issue, I did not see anything about a lien or anything along those lines. So right now, we could possibly assume that they may have made equity in their home and put it down. But we don't know, if there are other debts that they paid off. All right, so let me go back and let's talk about the Puerto Rico. Please hold. There's a lot of, someone's got some speeding tickets. All right, let me go into the Puerto Rico. And again, I'm not going to share this because I don't want to get in trouble with a website that I'm using. But you guys saw some screenshots, so you know that I'm really looking at something. Okay. All right, so let me tell you about the Puerto Rico P.O. Box. All right, the Puerto Rico, let me see, last scene, because I think that there is a last scene for Puerto Rico as well. Because I think that these dates, again, I feel like these dates, and on Nancy, I can tell you on Nancy's house on Camino, it looked like the house was paid off, but the house was moved in and out of like a trust and then out of a trust in the deed. And then sometimes there were small mortgages taken out on the house, probably equity mortgages, maybe for improvements. So those are probably improvement mortgages. But as of right now, I don't think that there is a mortgage on the Nancy house. Thank you for the jewels, bling bling. All right, so be patient with me because I've got to go in and find the Puerto Rico address and see if I can find last seen for Puerto Rico. P.O. Box 7249, Maya Guess, Puerto Rico. And let's see, last seen. Please hold. All right, let me go back to Annie's. Talk amongst yourselves while I'm doing this. All right, last scene. I'm going to have to go to, let me do detailed property. February 1st, 2026 is the last scene at the Puerto Rico. Let me share this screen so you guys can see this. I will share this. So last scene in Puerto Rico, and this is under Annie. So Annie and Nancy's information was on the Puerto Rico P.O. box. And so they have a last scene February 1st, which is the day that the public records show that she has died. So I don't know if that's because it's one of Annie's address. I'm not sure what's flagging this. I am not sure what is flagging this, but they're saying last seen at address, possible location. And I don't know if, again, this is a P.O. box situation, a forwarding with the U.S. Postal Service. Let's see, inner strength. Let's see. Credit Bureau can freeze somebody's credit under certain circumstances with a deceased, red flag so her credit can't be used by a fraudulent person. Well, maybe that's exactly what this is. That is really good to think about. Oh, man. Now we are partying. Oh, yeah. Get the Margaritaville blender going. It's Major Rammer Jammer. Woo! Get the disco ball popping. Yeah. Margaritaville blender. Yes. I like it. Woo! I thought I saw someone named Boomer. If Boomer, calling all boomers, Boomer. There's Boomer. Look at that. He was being sneaky and stealthy like a homicide detective. He was sneaky. All right. We've got Rammer Jammer. Who else is out there? I'm sensing more people are out there that are being sneaky. Adam's out there. I bet Adam is. I bet Alex is. Jen might be out there. Come on, you guys. Where are you at? Inner strength seems like she knows what's going on. If the family transferred all the bills associated with the house to them, then the odd flag of death can happen. Well, and that's very, very possible. And you know what? Maybe they got some sort of, maybe they have some sort of power of attorney, because I haven't thought about that. If there's a power of attorney that even without her death, maybe there is something in there where they're able to start moving things around. So things were flagged on February 1st with a power of attorney. And I don't know why someone would have a P.O. box in Puerto Rico. I don't know if are there tax benefits to having something in Puerto Rico? So I'm wondering, let me look and see. Let me do a quick search. Are there tax benefits to having a P.O. box in Puerto Rico? Let's see what it says. Simply having a P.O. box in Puerto Rico provides no tax benefits. Claiming Puerto Rico's tax incentives require establishing legal bona fide residency, which invokes passing strict physical presence tests. Okay, residency and tax rules. No mailbox shortcuts. The IRS and local authorities reject passive arrangements like running a P.O. box or a virtual address. Actual physical relocation is mandatory. All right, why would Nancy Guthrie have a P.O. box in Puerto Rico? Hello, let me ask ChatGPT. All right, again, talk amongst yourselves. Let's ask Chad. Power of attorney not valid at death. C931. Hi, Courtney. Yes, I'm thinking the more they admit were in letters to SG declaring her dead, they won't have to wait 5 years to declare, but 2 years in Arizona. That's very possible. And it's going to be interesting what I have to show you next. So Chad says that would definitely be worth examining, but I'd be careful about assuming the Puerto Rico P.O. box actually belonged. It is Nancy. It's Annie and Nancy. I could not find a reliable public record, but if it is hers, then I think it's interesting enough to investigate further. There are several completely ordinary explanations before getting into anything suspicious. Former residence or extended stay. I don't think they had a house. I'm not seeing anything. Financial or estate correspondence, trust, investments, insurance policies, or estate matters can generate mailing addresses that don't correspond. But Puerto Rico. Nancy Guthrie and her family have a long established connection to Tucson, not Puerto Rico. I know this is what I'm trying to. So thanks, Chad, for nothing. All right. So this did not help. Okay. Did not help. So it is still a mystery. But February 1st, something was flagged. And apparently a POA is not actionable without proof of death. But, it's also good to be Savannah Guthrie when you are friends with the senator of Arizona and you can maybe fast track something through the court systems, because we all know that Nancy's probably not coming back, unfortunately, and that she is in heaven. And if you're connected like that, I mean, people with connections do stuff all the time for friends. Okay. So why wouldn't somebody fast track this for the lovely Savannah? All right. So we are seeing death records for Nancy. We are seeing last seen at address at an old home that was sold a year ago. So that tells me there could be a post office forwarding being done May 2nd, which lines up with the JLR interview that we're going to look at still. I pivoted. And then August 7th, there is something being done with the current address in Tucson. That's the last seen. So again, I don't know, and so if you've ever done a mail forwarding when you move, you can do for the family. So anybody with your last name, is going to go on that. POA invalid at death. And the train just left the station. Okay, so when I looked at the death notification for February 1st, there was a link to a newspaper.com website. So I'm going to share with you the newspaper link that's really weird. Here it comes. Oh, what is this? It's a newspaper. It's an e-edition. What? It's from the Standard Speaker in Hazleton, Pennsylvania, dated Wednesday, February 11th, 2026. And you guys, it's the obituary section. Aw, poor Chip. He looks so cute. And look, George, he looks like a hootenanny. Bless their pea-picking hearts. But here's the thing. It looks like, for some reason, and I don't know if there's a link to Pennsylvania. There's two things, so just be patient while I walk through this, because I am a media personnel. I have newspaper experience. Oh, really? Oh, she's so mysterious. Look how mysterious she is. Woo, who's that girl? Do. Okay, so this is the obituary section, but why this is being flagged in Truthfinder.com with a death record, I don't know, because this is not an obituary for Nancy Guthrie. It is merely an article from page 1, section A. So whoever laid out this section finished up the obituaries, the paid obituaries in the paper, and then pulled stories off page 1 that didn't have space, and they moved them in this section of obituaries to fill space. So they laid it out this way. There's somebody who lays out the paper, and even though it's not done in an old-timey printing press of the 1600s and 1700s where they had to do each little letter, there's somebody who still does it digitally. They lay out the paper on a computer. So basically, they take all their stories from page 1, section A, the front page, and then they fill the front page and they scoot the rest of the article over. And so all they did was stick the rest of this story about, this was February 10th. So this is right after Porch Guy. Actually, February 11th is when it looks like it published, although there's something between February 10th and February 11th. I'm not sure what the difference is, but I've seen both dates. But this one is basically on the front page. They obviously had Porch Guy on the front page of the paper, and they finished up the story here, and it happens to be on the obituaries page in the paper. So for some reason, Truthfinder.com has flagged this, or newspapers.com actually has this flagged. And so what I'm wondering is, what's the deal with this Pennsylvania paper? And why did they finish the story, the article in the obituary section? Looks like they finished a couple stories from page 1 in the obituary section. But is there something that somebody is using this for as a record of death? Because it's in print. It's on page 1, and it's also on the obituaries page. And there's a picture of this guy. So if you needed probable, beyond a reasonable doubt proof that she was deceased, and we need something fast-tracked, if you put things in a paper, usually that's why they have legal notices. And the newspaper is still a historical record. People still put their obituaries in the newspaper because it is a historical record. And if you have something printed, you can use it as almost a legal supporting document. So I wonder if somehow this particular document is used somewhere to flag this. And, people are like, nobody does obituaries, but it is a historical record, and it is still very important to post an obituary. And it is very interesting that newspapers.com, when you go to newspapers.com, I left the S off. I don't know. It looked like they were linked to Ancestry or Legacy. Newspapers.com by Ancestry. So because they're linked, somehow this has been flagged as either a death record, a proof of death, or an obituary. And again, if I go to Truthfinder, there's no user generation here. You can't go in here and let me go into Nancy. All right, so here's her date of death, February 2026, and you can see the details. Death age 84, death location Tucson, Arizona, publication standard speaker, and here is the newspapers.com article linked. And the reason why this is interesting to me is because this is just an article. This is not an obituary, but as a caveat, I do have to think that maybe because they happened to lay the paper out that day and put this article next to obituaries in this one little town in Pennsylvania, that maybe they connected it to obituaries. But the only thing I have to say about that it's listed as an obituary, but it's marked as standard speaker, the name of the paper, section A. That's just the first section. This section is not labeled obituaries. Now, when I go to the standard speaker, I'll go there next. I go to obituaries and I put in NancyGuthrie. And I had to subscribe to these guys in order to do this. I will just cancel it tomorrow. Now, when I put in NancyGuthrie in obituaries, of course, she does not come up. Let me load more. I just want to double check and make sure. Let me look at some of these. Let me look at this date here and see what date. I want to go back as far as February. What's the date? June 8th, 2025. Okay. So all of these obits on this first section here are all recent. Let me look at this one and just double check the date because they're going to be in chronological order. March 9th. Okay. So Nancy would have appeared right here if there was an obituary. And she's not here. Now, when I go to the homepage of the Standard Speaker and I just do a search for Nancy Guthrie, I don't know if they archive their stuff, but there isn't anything. I can't find anything older than, let's see. Nope, here it is, February 10th. All right, if you remember, the article in print said February 11th we just looked at. Now it says February 10th, Associated Press. So this was an Associated Press article. This is not a local reporter. And it's FBI releases first surveillance images of masked person on Nancy Guthrie's porch. And here's the article. And let me just line up. Let me line up the text. Let me line up the text. Please hold. All right, so the text begins with, appeared to be wearing the holster. Another video shows a person purposefully. I'm trying to line up the text here and make sure it's the same article. So just give me just one moment. Okay, let's see. What is this one? Her family's turn to the public comes as much as the nation is close. Let me look at this last one. This is a different article. Videos from Guthrie. Let me just look at this. Videos from Guthrie siblings appealed directly to whoever took their mom. This is not the same article. This article on this page, whoops, sorry, is not the same article that's on the website. This is not the same article. And then, okay, so this is February 10th. Release the images. Here's the same picture that we saw in the e-edition. And I know maybe this is a nothing burger. All I'm saying is that the article in the newspapers.com is different. February. Okay, well, hold on. There might be more down here. February 11th, February 12th. All right, let's see if this is it. This might be the one. Okay. See, I'm looking too much into this. Let's see if this is the one then. Have indicated a willingness to pay a ransom. Let's look at the last one. No, it's not the same one because her family's turn to the public comes as much. Okay, I'm not going to go too much into this, but all I'm saying is I don't know. I'll continue looking because I'm gonna call the paper tomorrow and see if there's anything, because this article does not match the website, and I'll continue looking. But if you notice on the obituaries on the Standard Speaker and newspapers.com, Nancy Guthrie is listed. Let me check another article over here and see if there's a name in one of these activists. Let's look for a name in one of these. Fitzgerald is the leader. So she's listed as an obituary, but Bresnahan, Fitzgerald, but the people in these other articles, I'm looking quickly, Andrew Gabarino, are not listed as, this is listed as an obituary. And I know I'm kind of rambling, but I'm just double checking this live. And so they have this listed as an obituary. This article is not matching an online article that I can find on the website. I went to the e-edition and tried to find this old, but I'm not finding it. So I'm going to call the paper tomorrow and see if there's something here. And I'm going to see if there's a reason why newspapers.com would have flagged this as an obituary, because this is listed as an obituary. All right. I know I'm beating this to death because I'm digging into it as we're going here. So what do you guys think? Do you think that this is being treated as an obituary? What are you guys talking about? Would you please let her know it was a Nancy Guthrie from 2014? What am I missing? Did I miss something, guys? Let's see. Courtney, hi. Yes. What do you need me to pay attention to? Inner LOL. She's looking at her screen. Yes. Talk to me. Yes, I was looking at my screen. There we go. Okay. Tell me, what did I miss? Oh, you guys have to do more likes than 68 likes. Come on. We only have 68 likes. It's a different Nancy. Nancy Guthrie? No, I knew the one that I was showing you was a different Nancy. I knew that. I was just looking at dates. The obituary, I was just looking at dates to make sure that I was going back enough, because they have them in some sort of order, and I think it's chronological. Pennsylvania newspaper is for a completely different woman named Nancy Guthrie who passed away in 2014. Yes, I know that. I was just looking at the obituaries to see if I could find Nancy Guthrie on the standard speaker's obituary. So I did not think I was looking at Nancy Guthrie's obituary. I am comparing information. So let me know if, yes, okay, no, I appreciate that, because I can totally go off something. So yes, I know Nancy Guthrie's obit was not on the website, but I was just checking to make sure it wasn't. But the newspapers.com does have it. This one with this e-edition, this is being listed as an obituary on the right-hand rail here, the standard speaker. This is not the standard speaker website. This is newspapers.com. They pulled this image and it's an article with Nancy, and I did not find her obituary. Yes, you did all that work, Lisa, and you for nothing. Exactly. But you know what, you guys? Here's the thing. I want to make sure you're checking me. I want you to check me. I am so fine with that. And I love you. I love you. Yes, you do need a nap trying to get my attention. You're like screaming, Courtney, quit looking at your stupid screen. I have not done the Wayback Machine. These searches are hard to do live, too many rabbit trails. So yes, I am so sorry. I am moving off of that now. Okay. And I do want to say, if you guys, after this, Thornbridge X, they're having a very special guest on tonight. It's our local best friend, our best friend of the show, Boomer, is going to be on Thornbridge X Unlimited tonight, or Thornbridge X Unfiltered. Yay, Boomer. And Boomer and I are going to, I don't know, maybe we'll do a Crime Crunchy Boomer night again, just hang out and tell old stories. All right. So for those of you that have been patiently waiting for me to go through this silly rabbit hole I've been going, and I'm sorry if you guys are bored now, but I'm just saying it's weird. It's weird. Let's watch JLR, and I'm gonna creep around this video. Yes, we're going to, I don't want to play the whole thing because it's like 45 minutes. But I'm gonna jump around. And again, if you're here, please subscribe, hit the like, hit the bell. All right, let's play JLR, and we're gonna listen to the neighbor, and we're gonna jump around this video.
In the accident. And he's like, well, I don't think I can leave. And I was like, you have to, because they're gonna want to go around back, and he's got all this lumber and stuff. And so anyway, we went and picked him up, and he came home, and they came and knocked on the door, and all they, you know, like they did go around back and they searched and everything, but they just said they were looking for something that might have been dropped.
So she's talking about the FBI, someone with credentials had been walking around at the time. Let me give you a backstory. This neighbor of Annie and A&T, they had lived there for almost a year, 11 months, and they did not know them. They didn't know their name. They were wondering why the cars were around because they knew Nancy had been taken. They did not know their neighbors at all. They didn't know their names. They never spoke with them. And all of a sudden the FBI comes up, and this is what, let me just roll it back for a few seconds here, and we'll start it again.
Well, I don't think I can leave. And I was like, you have to, because they're going to want to go around back, and he's got all this lumber and stuff. And so anyway, we went and picked him up, and he came home, and they came and knocked on the door, and all they, you know, like they did go around back and they searched and everything, but they just said they were looking for something that might have been dropped. And that's all they ever told us.
That's it. That's interesting, Connie, because, you know, KMP, he's a regular. He's also your neighbor. I don't know if you know him. Do you know him? Or
I just know him from seeing him on your lives and stuff.
And he pretty much said the same thing. The FBI was asking if anything was discarded on his property, could have been discarded. Yeah. So they did the same thing to you too.
Yeah, they and we said, like, what? And they just said, oh, something that could have been dropped. So our takeaway was kind of like they were looking for a phone or something. But we, you know, we knew the people, you know, well, and they made the mistake, I guess it was a mistake, but when the first day, when we came out and I was taking my husband to work, I saw a couple cars on the street in front of Annie and Tomaso's, and I did not know them. And then I took him to work. I went to work for a few hours. I came home at lunchtime, and there were more cars on the street. And I remember thinking, I wonder if somebody died and they're having like a reception at a house or something. And then I saw guys, you know, I called my husband, and he goes, well, maybe it has something to do with Savannah Guthrie's mother disappearing. And I'm like, why would they be here? What would that have? And he goes, I don't know. And so I was like, no, it can't be that. And so I went in the house, and the kids were like, Mom, people have been knocking on the door like constantly, and Ivy's going crazy. And I was like, And so I was getting ready to leave. Side note, I'm on a planning committee for an event called Tim Tebow's Night to Shine.
Oh,
and
okay.
It's a prom for people with special needs.
Mm-hmm.
It's always the Friday after Valentine's Day. And so we were having a big planning meeting, and I was on my way to meet my daughter to make name tags. We had like 1,000 people there. It's a pretty big event here in Tucson. Oh, it's all over the world. But anyhow, I was getting ready to leave, and someone knocked on the door. And I thought, oh, heck with it. I'm just going to find out what's going on. So I opened the door, and I went out, and it was this young guy, and he had on credentials. And I said, I don't know what's going on, but it's been crazy all day. And he said, well, that's why I'm here. And I said, oh. And he said, do you know your neighbors? And I said, no. I said, I knew the people that lived there before, but I've never seen the people that bought the house after them. He was either I think he was an ophthalmologist or an optometrist. I think he was an ophthalmologist.
The prior owner of the house.
Yeah, and he retired, and they moved away. But we would chat with them once in a while, and he was really good to my kids. They were really little at the time when they first moved in, and so and then, you know, and he said, well, you know, he just asked me about the neighborhood, and I told him we'd lived there, you know, 30, 35 years, and that we knew the people right across the street from us, and we knew the Campbells who live across the street from Annie and Tommaso. And that was pretty much it, because we don't have a house to the left of us.
Yeah.
And then there's like 2 acres before the next house, and there's nobody diagonal going left until probably 2 lots up. So you just don't, you know, we never even really trick-or-treated or anything in that neighborhood because the houses are so spread apart. And we had seen a lot of the families were older and they moved away. And so I told him, I said, I've seen a lot more families walking their dogs, and there's kids in the strollers and kids riding bikes. And, you know, as people have passed away and moved out and stuff. But I said, it's been fairly quiet. I said, in the 35 years we've lived there, there's only been 1 robbery that I knew of, and that was our neighbors up. When you go left of our house, so you're heading west, and you go up the hill on the right, there's a house that sits back there, and their front door does not face the street. It faces the back. And when they first moved in, I guess somebody was watching them, and when they left the house, someone went in there and stole all the stuff they had moved in. And after that, they took precautions and stuff, put bars on the windows, I think, and different things. But I said, other than that, there has been no crime in our whole neighborhood. And we've never been afraid, you know, to go out walking or do anything. And then he said, well, are you following the Savannah Guthrie mom disappearance? And I said, well, yeah. I said, because I was born and raised here. I watched Savannah on the news. You know, when you watch them every night, you feel like you kind of know them. And I said, you know, I've checked online a couple times just to see if there was an update. Well, he was from the New York Times. And when he put the story out, I had given him my name and everything. He said, I'll send you a link to the story when it comes out. Well, he took that one sentence I said that I had checked social media a couple times. And he said, he put my name and he said, it has said she's obsessively checking for updates on the story. And I thought, well, none of my friends will see it. It's not a big deal. No, my friend's husband saw it. I got phone calls. They were laughing. And
so they twisted your words out.
Yeah, he just changed one.
So she kind of just rambled a little bit, you know, and it's good information, but she did talk about them having, I can't remember if it was she had 2 cars and she got in a car accident total, then they had 1. All right, so let me fast forward to, I wrote it down. So she's going to talk about the Circle K and how there are cameras in the area. And I mean, I definitely recommend going and checking this out. This was yesterday. JLR came up with this interview. So.
And there are cameras at that gas station at Rudisill.
Yep.
All right, let me go back.
But yeah, no, I never saw it. But then again, when they were saying that, you know, they never keep cars that long, I also heard like FBI agents and stuff on different shows say that.
Let me go back. They were just talking about cars, and I want to
tell you, or do you know anything that was their car seized and taken?
Well, I didn't see it for a long time. So I only saw that black.
Here, let me go. He's talking about cars, so hold on.
Like kind of like a little terrier or Shih Tzu or something like that.
What color?
I think it was black.
Oh, a little black doggy. I love dogs.
Yeah, and I only saw it that one time.
Dude, the car being seized. You know that a lot of people talk about their car being seized. Did your neighbors tell you, or do you know anything that was their car seized and taken?
Well, I didn't see it for a long time. So I only saw that black car. And I like I said, I'd never seen it before. I could have sworn at one time I saw a little truck, but I could also be hallucinating or thinking of something else. But yeah, no, I never saw it. But then again, when they were saying that, you know, they never keep cars that long, I also heard like FBI agents and stuff on different shows say that a lot of times if they did strip the whole car apart, that it does take a long time to put all those electronics and everything back together. And so it does take quite a while. So I didn't really question that it took that long. You know, I wish, you know, sometimes I go back and I'm like, I wish I'd have been out front that night so I could have said, yeah, they came and went. What I don't understand is there are cameras at that Circle K. We go by there all the time, and there are cameras at that gas station at Rudisill.
Yep.
Did they ever get proof of that car going by either direction? Either the Uber taking her or
Thank you, Andrew.
Tommaso taking her home.
Let me ask you. Go. Yeah. I was going to ask you, with that being said, do you think your next door neighbor, Tommaso and Annie, are involved with something that happened to Nancy?
Well, and this is where I have to be careful, because if you had asked me when everything happened, I wouldn't have even thought about that. But listening to all these people who are so sure it is them, and when you know, let that go into you so much and you listen to it, then you start thinking and getting scared. And I don't want to be that way, you know? And so, you know, there was a couple times where I went out in the street and just started walking toward their house in the dark. And I got, you know, 3/4 of the way, and I got scared. I turned around and went back home. And I never was like that before all this happened. So, you know, if I don't listen to it, I go back to thinking, no, it wasn't them. But then you start listening. And just the fact that they have not acted like I think I would if it was my mom, you know, and just the silence. And I think that allowing Savannah to be the only one that speaks up, I just think that left a weird feeling for people. And that's what made people start suspecting something, you know. And they are strange people, just their musical taste and their, you know, her supposed writings and all that is not my cup of tea. But that still doesn't make them horrible people, you know.
True.
But I just have to be careful about what I listen to, because my husband doesn't listen to any of it. So that would be the furthest thing from his mind. He would not think that they did anything. Same with my kids. But when I hear all these people with all their theories, you know, it puts some doubt in your brain, you know.
Interesting.
If that makes sense.
Does have you like changed the way, like are you scared in your own neighborhood now?
No, I mean, we don't go walking down the street in the dark anyway, but we have really good flashlights. And like I said, we put a motion light out front for when my daughter takes the dog out and stuff. And usually, and we honestly, when it's at night, usually it's my husband.
Let me fast forward a little bit.
You know, it's kind of like I'm the opposite of all those people that called in. You know, all those people that called in that lived in Canada. They did, and I know that you guys have found a lot of people who don't know her, don't know who she was. All of my friends know about it, know who she was. A lot of them might be because of me, because for a while that's all I was talking about.
She does say that a lot of people in Tucson just don't follow the news. They don't know about it. So that is, you know, one thing I'm not really surprised about. So I thought this was very interesting. And apparently she had originally reached out to JLR because she had a list of things that she wanted to make sure people were getting right. And she called into JLR and he was recording, but she didn't have the list with her. So he finished the conversation with, you know, if you get the list and you want to go over things and, you know, correct assumptions that people have, please call me back. But the main thing that I wanted to point out with this is the fact that she stayed quiet for a long time. She doesn't want her 15 minutes of fame, but she does mention that the family has not been to the home since May. Okay. They've not been home since May. No one has seen them. And the other neighbor that JLR speaks with has confirmed that they are not home. They're not home. Nobody knows where they are, and that the mail is not being delivered. So does that go along with what I was sharing before in the fact that we've got, let me reshare this, that we've got things going on where they're not their last seen. Okay. Now my thing is having, I think I've got too many windows open. It's taking too much bandwidth. So, all right. So I won't share my screen anymore, and that's fine. Okay. So what I'm getting at is in the truthfinder.com records that I found is showing that there is a last seen at the address of the home that A&T sold in March of 2025 was May 2nd, 2026. I am speculating that that could have been triggered if they left the area and they put in another mail forwarding to wherever they are now, or a mail stop, or a send the mail to another address. So, when you sell your home and you leave, a lot of times you have that straggler mail. Even if you've put in a change of address, there's that straggler mail that doesn't make it to the new address. Okay. So it makes me think that they put in another change of address with the post office at their old address. And then August 7th of this year is the last seen at their home where everybody was at. So that makes me believe that there's something that was legally triggered on August 7th with the home that they currently or had been residing in. But all of this lines up with what the neighbor is saying, that they haven't been seen since May. And that makes sense. I can confirm that as far as truthfinder.com does go, I'm backing up with Jen on Thornbridge X Unfiltered had shared that Bill Garcia showed that he says he sees some sort of either a death record or a death certificate or a notification on February 1st. Truthfinder.com does have that same death record. And when I am on truthfinder.com, it has a link to a newspapers.com. And when I pulled that up, it is an article in a Pennsylvania community newspaper that is a continuation of an article that was on page 1 of section A, but the continuation of the article happened to be on the obituaries page of the Standard Speaker in Pennsylvania, which to me is really odd. I want to call the paper and see if they can figure anything out, because newspapers.com, which is linked from Truthfinder, which is a background public records check, is showing Nancy Guthrie listed as an obituary in the newspapers.com e-edition page that they have linked to the Truthfinder page that's showing that Nancy was dead as of just February 1st. Now, not trying to confuse people, but a death record, I don't know if that has the weight of a death certificate or a death notification. I don't know if they're considered the same thing, but we all know it could take years before someone is legally pronounced dead if they are missing. No body. But Savannah Guthrie is friends with the senator, and I'm pretty sure that with all the information we have and the picture that appeared on that page of Porch Guy, and with the ransom note number 2 stating that she did die and as she is buried in nature, could those things have been used to create a death certificate to speed this along? Because I'm guaranteeing you, from what we've seen of Savannah, she does not want this drug out as long as she just really at this point wants her mother's remains back, which I completely get it. She just wants her mother's remains back. But I do feel with what we've seen that and Savannah Guthrie's contacts, I could easily see the ransom note number 2, this article in the Standard Speaker from newspapers.com being listed as an obituary could be a legal public notice used to back something up to get a death certificate. Okay. So, and then just to confuse everything, I went to the standardspeaker.com, which is a newspaper that was showing the obituary of Nancy Guthrie and the e-edition, the image that we saw from newspapers.com. I went to the Standard Speaker to their online website, and I went to their obituary section just to make sure that there wasn't a Nancy Guthrie online obituary, and there wasn't. So I had pulled up all the Nancys, and I did open up a couple obituaries, but I'm aware that they weren't the Nancy Guthrie. I was really just looking for dates of when those were published to make sure that that they were listing out the Nancys, not in alphabetical order, but in chronological order, which they were. And so there is no online obituary of Nancy Guthrie that I can find. And according to Truthfinder.com, officially they're linking a newspapers.com weird article as an obituary, but it's not an online story that I can find on the Standard Speaker. So here's I'm going to do more speculation here. I'm going to speculate that on truthfinder.com, the newspapers.com link goes to, and I'm guessing, a bunk story about Nancy Guthrie. And I'll tell you why I think it's a bunk story. There's a picture of Porch Guy. Now, being in newspapers, on the homepage, the front page of the newspaper, they're going to include images. If they have to continue the article on an inside page, which this is what it looks like, I can tell you that they're not going to include an image in the continuation on an inside page. And there is a picture, an image on the inside page of Porch Guy. So I have a feeling that this was strategically located, this weird article that doesn't show up on the Standard Speaker website anywhere else other than this image. It's the continuation is of an article from the front page of the newspaper, and it happens to be in an obituaries section. Well, it's not even a section. It's just an obituaries page. Oh, Patricia, she gifted a membership. I love that. Oh, and Craft Eccentricity got it. Oh, yay. Thank you. That's very generous. Thank you, Patricia. I love that. Thank you so much for doing that. That is a good gift. Yay. I love it. I love people getting free stuff. Okay, so I'm thinking that someone got a page with an article. Bear with me, trying to explain this. I'm thinking that someone created an article or got an article printed somewhere that talks about Nancy being taken and the family members and the image of Porch Guy, because that is going to create the probable proof. And yes, you know what? Thank you so much. So the comment, B24CPN is saying the Truthfinder website gives false and misleading hints for records. They are trying to sell you their services. I had already been subscribed to them, So I've already been subscribed to them so that I can spy on other things, because it is helpful to find information out when you're, looking in people's underwear drawer. So and it could be false, but they weren't using it to upsell me. I was already a subscriber, and this is just probably information anybody could find, although I am interested to see if someone else could find it. But it does look like somebody, the gist is somebody could have gone to extremes to get the death notification record official for February 1st. So I do agree with Jen on Thornbridge X and what Bill Garcia, somehow, some way, they have got it a death official, maybe so they can start liquidating things. I don't know. But again, it's good to be friends with the senator of Arizona. And that is this is a great question, Nina, because this is what I wondered. It takes, how expensive it is to be in Europe right now? It's very expensive to be in Europe. My crunchy sissy had gone on a trip with her beloved, and I mean, margarita, the cheapest thing you can get is a margarita pizza and a soft drink, and that was probably 40 euro easily for just a tiny tickets, hotel. It's so expensive. And they probably are staying with family if they're there, speculating, alleging. But who's feeding them if they are there? And again, this is for entertainment purposes only. This is for entertainment purposes. This is not alleged, or it is alleged. Nobody is being accused of anything. Nobody. I'm an idiot. I don't know anything. Babos. 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 Don't come and sue me, Guthrie family. I'm playing with babos. Yes, Tommaso has, actually, there is a cousin who looks a lot like, they have strong genes with the dark hair, the bushy, thick hair, rather attractive looking young man who owns a cafe of sorts. Brown chicken, brown cow. Okay, so I'm going to continue digging into this. We'll see if I get an answer. Chances are I won't get an answer, but I'm going to call the newsroom tomorrow at the Standard Speaker. I'm going to see if I can get anybody. Because I want to find out. I want them to be aware of what newspaper.com has. And I want to see who laid out that paper. And I'm also going to work to try to find the article that's in that e-edition image, because I couldn't find it just while we were live. Doesn't mean it's not there, but I'm going to try to find that article. And if it's a bunk article, I will be back tomorrow and I will let you guys know what I find. I have something in my eye now. Is there anything else you guys would like me to look into? I'm just curious to see if there are any other topics you guys are interested in, because you have so many good ideas. I get so many people emailing me wonderful things. Yes, we all need to go back to monks. Who doesn't love monks? All right, you guys. Well, I hope you all have a wonderful evening. And congratulations, Craft Eccentricity, for getting a free membership. And thank you to the gifter of said Thank you to our new members. I know we got a new member or two today. Thank you so much. I want to give you a shout out. Thank you for all the jewels. Thank you for the $19.99 super chat, Angela, and thank you for joining. Where is Nancy Guthrie? Wouldn't we all love to know? You know what, Moon Kitty? You can go back and be on the replay crew. I love you all. Kisses. Hit the like button, because you know what happens if you don't hit the like button? I come into your home and I find you the moment you're eating a peanut butter sandwich and I wrench it from your rat claws. So if you don't want to lose your peanut butter sandwich, I will take your peanut butter sandwich from your rat claws. So please hit the like button. It's very important that people have hit the like button. I don't know why. It helps the algorithm. And it helps more people. It really does. You know, I'm just proud that you guys are here. I'm proud that you guys are here. And we've been missing Alpha. Alpha Wolf, I have not seen you. Joe, where's Joe? I will look at the Wayback Machine. I promise you, Kathy Brown, I'm going to be doing a little bit more research. So I'm going to do the Wayback Machine and see if I can pull all these things together. So take the puppy out. I will take the puppy out if I come over and grab your peanut butter sandwich from your rat claws. All right, you guys. Have a great evening. Catch Boomer over at Thornbridge X. They're on at 7. You guys can head on over there. Other than that, I will catch you on the flip side, which is probably tomorrow. And toodaloo. Beep, beep. Boop, 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 boop. Beep, beep, boop, boop.